Welcome everyone to the Board of Trustees meeting here on Tuesday, March 6th, 2018. And tonight we have some very special guests. They're sitting right here in front of me, and I'll let you, Mr. Grote, do the introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. We have Boy Scouts Troop 1973. We've got the leaders of the group here, Jared Jensen and Dr. Jonathan King. There's one more individual, I didn't get the name. Ted Jemmingwin. Welcome. And also, we have a new supervisor here today, supervisor in training. We'll see how he does, if he's going to stick around for further meetings, but his name is Parker Johnston.
Yes.
He might have an off after a meeting or so, one meeting.
Well, what really kind of tears my heart apart is the fact that everybody's happy that we have a new supervisor, but that's okay. That's okay. I can deal with it. I can deal with it.
The pledge, one of the scouts will be doing is Tristan John.
And before we start, Mr. Johnson, would you mind introducing all the scouts? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Supervisor. It's a privilege for us to be here, Troop 1973, and we'll go ahead and introduce my son, Evan Jensen. We've got Tristan John, Kyan Hyatt, Grayson Hemingway, Emerson King, and of course, Parker Johnson has been mentioned before. Thank you so much for having us here.
Thank you very much. We do appreciate it. Okay, and now if we could start the meeting.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to call this meeting of Shelby Township Board of Trustees to order.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Nice.
And now?
Please stand and join me as we honor our nation with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And now I would like to invite up Pastor Jason Galba. He's from Live Ministries at 51220 Danview Tech Court, and that's right here in Shelby Township. Thank you.
Stand with me as we prepare to bring the invocation over tonight's meeting, referencing Psalms 90 and 17. Let us bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we ask that the favor of the Lord God would be on this council meeting this evening. We ask that the ability for good and proper decision-making would be with the leadership of this city this evening. We thank you, Lord, for providing for this city in your provision for all the things that they have set their hands to within your will. We thank you for answering this prayer tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Okay, Pastor Jason Galba, thank you very much from Live Ministries right here in Shelby Township. We do appreciate you taking the time tonight to be at our meeting for the invocation. Okay, Mr. Grote, can you please take the roll?
Michael Flynn.
Here.
Stan Grotz here. Rick Stefficus.
Here.
John Vermeulen.
Here.
Vince Viviano.
Here.
Lynn Wilhelm.
Here.
Doug Wozniak.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, well, if you don't mind, Parker, it's my turn now. Unless you want to do it. You want, no?
No, he's good.
That's what they all say, just so you know. Okay. Anyway, I again want to thank the troops, Boy Scouts Troop 1973, for being here tonight. And I know you were here before as we trustees got a chance to tell you how government actually works. I think it was about a month or a month and a half ago. And I think it's really great that your moms and dads and your leaders actually take the time to do this. So you're invited to stay, but you're not expected to stay for long. And if it gets boring and it doesn't take long, you can leave when you want, okay? No disrespect. Again, I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. Thank you very much. Okay, so now what we'll do is open up the public hearing. And actually, it's Special Assessment District. We've got three of them, three topics. SL-52, 2017, public hearing on necessity. And then we've got Special Assessment District SL-53, 2017, public hearing on necessity. And then finally, SAD SL-54, 2017, public hearing on costs. Would someone like to open
Mr.
the
Chairman?
public hearing? Yes, Mr. Flynn.
I would move to open the public hearings on SL 525354-2017.
Support?
Okay, motion made by Mr. Flynn, supported by Mr. Viviano. Again, we are opening all three topics. If anyone would like to come up and speak on any one of them, this would be the time. And let's go ahead and take roll call first.
Michael Flynn.
Yes.
Vince Viviano.
Yes.
Lynn Wilhelm.
Yes.
Doug Wozniak.
Yes.
Stan Grot, yes. Rick Steffikis.
Yes.
John Vermeulen.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. Chairman.
So again, we have a motion on the floor to open a public hearing, and we will vote on that in just a second. Well, let's do it right now. All those in favor? Or let's take a roll call. Roll
did,
call.
we did.
Okay.
So we're
I'm sorry,
open.
I thought that was, but I mean a roll call for public hearing.
No, it's open. We just got to,
You sure?
if anyone wants to
Okay.
speak, and then we'll close it if no one wants to speak.
Anybody want to come up and speak? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Flynn to close a public hearing meeting, seconded by Ms. Wilhelm.
Michael Flynn.
Yes.
Lynn Wilhelm.
Yes.
Doug Wozniak.
Yes.
Stan Grot, yes. Rick Steffikis.
Yes.
John Vermeulen.
Yes.
And Vince Viviano.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Now is there a motion to approve the consent agenda that has been presented?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Grove.
I move to approve consent agenda as follows. Number one, minutes, board meeting, February 20th, 2018. Move to approve minutes as presented. Number two, Michigan Medical Record Charities, Inc., MMRC, request charitable gaming license. Motion to approve the Michigan Charitable Gaming Division Resolution for Michigan Medical Record Charities, Inc., MMRC of Shelby Township as a nonprofit organization operating in our community. Number three, cancellation of May 1st, 2018 regular board meeting of trustees due to special election. Move to cancel the regular meeting of Board of Trustees on May 1st, 2018 due to special election. Number four, poverty exemption guidelines, 2018. Move to concur with recommendation of Township Assessor Matt Schmidt and adopt guidelines for all 2018 applications for real property poverty exemption as presented. Number five, land division of combination guidelines, 2018. Move to concur with the recommendation of Township Assessor Matt Schmidt and adopt the guidelines for all 2018 applications for land divisions and combinations as presented. Number six, bill run in the amount of $568,775.47. Move to approve the bill run in that amount. And Mr. Chairman, move to approve consent agenda as presented.
Motion? Second. Motion made by Mr. Grote, seconded by Mr. Wozniak. Please take the roll.
Stan Grot, yes. Doug Wozniak.
Yes.
Michael Flynn.
Yes.
Rick Steffikis.
Yes.
John Vermeulen.
Yes.
Vince Viviano.
Yes.
And Lynn Wilhelm.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. Chairman.
Great. And, you know, before I go into the agenda, I just want to mention a couple of things. First of all, our equipment still is not working, and that's why we don't have a live meeting tonight. One of the agenda items actually is to hopefully get some equipment in here and approve agenda item number, I don't know, it's 4 or 5, but hopefully that'll get done so we can get back to live meetings. So tonight, it will be taped and shown at the regularly Thursday, Saturday, Sunday cycle. So we do apologize about that. And also, I have in my notes, I skipped over a special announcement. Ms. Lynn Wilhelm, I don't want to skip this. I understand that the dance team
Yes.
some special news. Go ahead. And
Yeah, really great honor and a great opportunity for our Eisenhower dance team. They won double national titles, and they represented the U.S. at the World Championships and are now the U.S. national team. We want to congratulate the 18 young women member team. This is usually held for college students, and they won. So we're really, really excited to have them. They're all Shelby residents, so congratulations to the team, and we wish you the best of luck.
Also, I hear we got some certificates to hand out.
Yes, we were going to do that tonight, but this is such a big event that they're hosting it at Eisenhower High School on Friday afternoon, and they'll have a lot of congratulations, and they're all really excited.
And you'll be there with the certificates?
I will be there with the
Okay.
certificates. Yep.
Good enough, and
Thank
maybe
you.
some of the trustees too. No, thank you very much. We do appreciate that enthusiasm. Okay, now we'll go to the agenda, and before I ask for a motion, let's just go through it. Ed, if you could, oh, it's already up, very good. Okay, item number 1 is the SADSL-52 2017 adoption of resolution number 3. Second one is SAD SL-53 2017 adoption of resolution number 3. Number 3 is SAD SL-54 2017 adoption of resolution number 5, and I'll explain more about this when we get to it. Number 4, Shady Lane water main replacement. Number 5, request to hire an ordinance enforcement officer in building department. Number 6, boardroom broadcast equipment purchase, which I just talked about. Number 7, purchase of department vehicle. And number 8, that would be in the community relations department. Number 8, purchase industrial grade washer extractor in the fire department. Number 9, receive and file ISO Public Protection Classification Summary Report 2018. And by the way, this is a very special report. I'm glad that Chief Swinkowski is here to talk about it, because he's been working on it for, I'm going to say, a few years. And the results are great, and hopefully we'll save you some money on your insurance. But I'm going to let him talk about that as item number 9. And finally, number 10, we're going to reappoint 4 Planning Commission people, and hopefully that'll be done tonight as well. So that's the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Grote.
I move to approve regular agenda as presented.
Support. Motion made by Mr. Grote, supported by Mr. Wozniak. Any board comment? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Now, at this point, residents, this is your opportunity to address the board regarding any of the items on the agenda this evening. And your comments pursuant to board policy are limited to 3 minutes. But do keep in mind that while the scope of your discussion at this point of the meeting should be limited to the agenda items, you will also have an opportunity at the end of the meeting to discuss a wider range of topics that relate to township business. So, would anyone like to come up and question or comment about any of the agenda items tonight? Yes, sir.
I'll keep you honest.
Thank you.
Gary Galassa, Shelby Township. Want a question about the ISO Public Protection Classification Summary, as well as the grade washer extractor. I asked my insurance agent what the building of the 5th Township Fire Station did for my insurance rates. He said absolutely nothing. The other question I want to ask is about the required car for the new positioned, what is it? Community Relations Department. Mr. Flynn, Mr. Stathakis, and Mr. Grote, use your own cars, don't you, when you do things? Why is it that we have to not only add a position that costs something, now we have to add a vehicle that costs something, needs to be replaced, needs to be serviced, needs to be gassed? Why can't Mr. Bates use his own vehicle? If it's a public relations position, then don't people come here to talk to him about what they want? Why does he have to go somewhere continuously? So I question the intelligence in buying another vehicle and the cost that's involved with it.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else tonight? Yes, Mr. Churchill. And just so you know, everybody, what happens is when we get to the comment, that's when we answer all the questions. So all those questions will be answered, as well as, oh, you've gone a little too far. Yep, there you go. You got it.
Now I see it.
Okay.
Ron Churchill, Mound Road. Mr. Supervisor, I want to talk about this ISO insurance rating. I've brought that up a couple of times. And what I'd like to know is, now since the fire stations are all done, I'd like to know, number one, I know our ISO rating was like 8 or 9, which is terrible. And is this work, since it's been done, is that going to affect the ISO rating now? Is it going to lower it? I know you talked about wanting to get it down to a 4 or a 5 at least, and I'm wondering if that will bring it down to that over the whole township, or just lowering it in sections of the township. And right now, is the whole township rated at 1 rating, or is different parts of the township rated at different ratings? And another thing I want to hit on is that vehicle for the cable TV. Is this a new vehicle, or is this a replacement? And if it's a replacement vehicle, what's wrong with the one that you're getting rid of, if you're getting rid of one? And on that, what number is it? That the sewer line, water line, or what is it, water line? What's the cost of that going to be? And I think that's, what are some of the other ones?
Well, we've got the Shady Lane water main replacement,
Yeah,
which
that's
you
the
just
one I was
talked about.
talking about.
Yep,
How much
okay,
is
we'll
that?
get to that, sure.
And what other ones did I
And then
miss?
number 5, we've got the request to hire an ordinance enforcement officer.
Yeah, that's the one I want to talk about. I thought we had an ordinance enforcement officer. Is he retiring, or is this a replacement, or are you going to have to? And that should do it.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming up. Anybody else? Okay, well, we'll go ahead now and start with the next item, number 1. And here we're asked to take action with respect to the first of 3 special assessment districts that were subject of public hearing at the beginning of our meeting tonight. With this resolution number 3, if approved, DTE will prepare plans and an estimate for the final costs associated with streetlights at the Briarwood Knolls condominiums project. Would someone like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Flynn.
I move to adopt Resolution 3 for SAD SL 52 2017 Briarwood Knolls condos, street lighting as presented, and direct the supervisor to prepare the special assessment roll, and to adopt Resolution 3 for SL 53 2017 as street lighting Briarwood, and direct the supervisor to prepare the special assessment roll, and to adopt Resolution number 5 for SAD SL 54 2017 Black Hills Estates condo street lighting as submitted, and confirm the special assessment roll in the amount of $38,691.44 on a fixed basis and $3,521.76 on a periodic basis.
Motion made by Mr. Flynn, supported by Mr. Vermeulen. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Michael Flynn.
Yes.
John Vermeulen. Yes. Vince Viviano.
Yes.
Lynn Wilhelm.
Yes.
Doug Wozniak.
Yes.
Stan Grote, yes, and Rick Steffikis.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Grove. Next item, number 2, action regarding this matter is pertaining to another street lighting project.
No, it's already done.
I did
Oh,
the
you did
first-
2 and 3, I'm sorry.
I did 1, 2, 3 as a set.
Not here, number 2, I heard number 3, I'm sorry. Okay, so we're good. Okay,
Plain water.
and now we're going to talk about Shady Lane water main replacement. Man, Mr. Flynn, you're good, I'll tell you, got that one by me.
I'm
Good,
trying.
Good job, yep. Mr. Dave Miller, I know you are here with us tonight, and as our DPW director, I see you're asking for a board motion to concur with your recommendation to replace a water main on Shady Lane. Tonight, we are considering the first step in the process, and that is to ask our township engineer, Fazelkan and Associates, to perform the necessary engineering services for bidding and construction of the project. Someone asked about the cost, and I believe it's in a motion.
It is.
So if someone would like to make the motion, we can get to that.
I'll make the motion.
Go ahead, Ms. Wilhelm.
Thank you. To concur with the recommendation of David Miller, Director of Public Works, to authorize Fazil Khan and Associates to perform the necessary engineering services for the replacement of approximately 500 feet of water main along Shady Lane, approximately 250 feet east and west of Ivanhoe. The cost of work performed is not to exceed $7,820. Funds for this replacement will come out of the water and sewer reserves.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Wilhelm, seconded by, was that you, Mr. Viviano?
That was
Or
Mr.
Mr. Flynn? Seconded by Mr. Flynn. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I had a question.
Oh, was there a question?
I think you had a question.
No.
No?
All those in favor said aye, and nobody is opposed. Motion passes. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, if anybody raised their hand out there, we have already taken care of the questions at the beginning of the meeting, so.
It was.
Number 5, next we're asked to consider a recommendation by our Human Resources Director, Lisa Suda. I see we have Mr. Tim Wood with us tonight in case there are any questions, but this is in concurrence with our Building Director. And we are asking to hire an ordinance enforcement officer. This position would fill a vacancy that was created by the resignation of the department in the department just recently, and if approved tonight, the applicant meets all education and work experience requirements as established by the current job description for an inspector. Motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to approve the hire of Carol Scepter to the position of Ordinance Enforcement Officer working in the Township's Building Department, starting at a pay grade 18, Step 1A, and in accordance with the current Municipal Employees Collective Bargaining Agreement.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Viviano, seconded by Mr., was that you, John Vermeulen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any discussion? I do want to say that, no, this person's not retiring. He's leaving the department. It's actually already retired, and he helped us out for a few months, and we did appreciate his help very much. So as he leaves, he's actually taken some time to train the new person if we should approve this tonight. Any other discussions, questions? Mr. Wood, you have anything to add to that? Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Wood, thank you for coming in tonight. Thank you very much. Okay. Next, our boardroom broadcast equipment purchase, which I hope we approve tonight. As you know, we did not have a live meeting last week, nor do we have one tonight because of our equipment. So those of you may have tried to tune us in, but hopefully if this gets approved tonight, we will be able to have our live meetings at our next meeting 2 weeks from tonight. There were some technological failures that led to the inability to broadcast and stream the meeting. With us tonight, we've got Nick Monticelli, who's been really just wonderful for our Community Relations Department. He's everywhere. He's a production manager. He's fixing our equipment, and I know he's here tonight, and we appreciate everything you're doing for us. And also, he's mentoring a lot of our people in that department. So again, Nick, thank you very much. We appreciate all your efforts. And I know when you're not here, you're at WDIV. Right. And when you're not here or there, you're home sleeping, which is only 4 hours a night. So you're a busy guy. We appreciate it. Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Wozniak.
I move to concur with the recommendation of the Technology Department and approve the purchase from Great Lakes Multimedia Supply, Inc. for a new TriCaster and broadcast equipment for live broadcasting and streaming of Board of Trustees and Planning Commission meetings for $45,697.75, with funds available in General Ledger 427-265-985-000, and amend the budget accordingly.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Wozniak, seconded by Mr. Flynn. You know, before we vote, Mr. Monticelli, can you come up and just tell us a little bit about what happened? Because I know people are very interested in why are we spending this money and exactly what are we getting for it?
Board, good evening. This
Thank
is
you.
awfully close.
Yeah, I know.
So the system inside the room off to your right-hand side is controlled by several different components. The main one is a TriCaster, which has a series of hard drives inside of it. The main hard drive that services the entire system failed us. My best estimation on why that happened is because of how the system is powered, which in this quote, there's a solution for that as well. Long story short, once you replace one portion of it, you have to replace the majority of it as well. So that's why there are so many other items on this quote, which will replace essentially the entire room. You'll also see some furniture inside there as well, simply because the new system doesn't physically fit what we have in that tiny space. So it will be an entire redo in the next week or so. You're going to see everything torn out of that room and then rebuilt over again, where Ed is sneezing in the back corner. As far as technology, we will be back live streaming. We'll also be sending and recording in high definition, so make sure all of you have all of your best makeup on.
Oh, boy.
Mike? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
What'd I do?
No, I'm kidding. Okay, thank you very much, Nick. I do
Welcome.
appreciate it.
Yes.
So it will be working at the next meeting?
As long as the vendor is able to provide us the equipment as soon as possible, that's really what we'll have to
And
depend on.
as a result, we just have one camera tonight, and
Correct.
that's just the way it's got to be?
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you have any questions for Nick? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks again. Okay, next, Community Relations Director Brad Bates has asked us to consider his recommendation to purchase one vehicle to be used to augment the current fleet of one vehicle and one production truck that is used by Community Relations as well as ShelbyTV staff. If approved, the price for the vehicle is based on the 2018 Oakland County Purchasing Division contract for fleet vehicles.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Flynn.
I move to approve the recommendation of CRD Brad Bates and purchase one 2018 Equinox LS all-wheel drive for the price of $21,915 through Berger Chevrolet in Grand Rapids from account 598-598-985-000 and amend the budget accordingly.
Second?
Motion made by Mr. Flynn, seconded by Ms. Wilhelm. Before we vote on this, I just want to say a couple of things. The reason why it's important to have another car is we don't allow our employees to use a car because of liability. In order for them to use their car, there are some very strict guidelines which they have to have. Liability limits are awfully important, and, you know, if they get into an accident with their own car, you're looking at a lot of different liability situations which we just don't want to get into. So we always tell our employees, you know, use one of our cars wherever you go, and if by chance you have to use your own car, check with our HR department, bring in your insurance form and your limits so we can look at them and make sure that they're okay. But we prefer our employees not to use their own
And
car.
Mr. Chairman, just to head off one point of clarification, this is by no means a company car for Mr. Bates. This is a.
No, thank you
this
for
is a-
saying
This
that.
is a pool car that'll be
Pleasure
used
to
by
come.
all the staff in the department. And as they continue to improve content and expand content, which I know they've been doing, they needed another car. So I think this is an appropriate expense, but by no means is this a company car for Mr. Bates.
Just answer my questions, both of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
If it was going to be used by the pool.
I'll let you say
and-
that. Say that again?
One of the questions was whether this was a new or replacement vehicle.
It's a new vehicle. It's not a replacement because right now they have one vehicle. And, you know, when you have to go out and do shoots, it's really hard to schedule shoots when you only have one car. So this will be the second car, and that's why we're doing it. And by the way, it's coming out of the Capital Improvement Fund, which for this line item has $40,000. Thank you, Mr. Flynn. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, I think we answered all those questions. Okay, good. Next, Fire Chief. Chief Swinkowski is here tonight, suggesting our township purchase one turnout gear washer extractor. On occasion, the uniforms worn by our firemen get bloody or have other bodily fluids on them, which require immediate cleaning. And not surprisingly, the dry cleaners no longer want to clean the gear under those circumstances. Rather than continue to send out fire gear for inspection and cleaning to another source, the fire chief is suggesting that we purchase this equipment that meets all appropriate standards so that the gear can be cleaned in-house. Did I miss anything?
No, that's pretty much it. We're probably one of the few departments anywhere that doesn't have a machine like this. It's just, you know, the way we've done things, and anytime we get from car accidents, we do get blood on our turnout gear a lot, and we send it in the dry cleaners. The trade-off of that is going to the dry cleaners, and when you send them out for that type of commercial cleaning, it does degrade the material, shorten the life expectancy over time, because a lot of times after a second, we can get a brand-new set of gear, and by year number 2, You can already see the material fading. They're patching seams because the threading starts coming out. But, you know, we've been trying, and this has been going on for about 18 months, and finally, every single dry cleaner, they will not clean any type of bloodborne pathogens, even our work uniforms, or when our medics get blood on them. You know, we obviously don't want them taking that home with, you know, the laundry at home, and we have no ability, we can't do it. And the manufacturers for our turnout gear do recommend laundering properly, not through dry cleaning, to get contaminants and, you know, cancer-causing agents and stuff out of our gear after fires and things like that. These are things we used to do with soap and water and brushes, but the types of chemicals out there and the things we're facing has gotten to a point where this is something we need to do. You know, because we basically are out of options to clean it any other way.
Okay.
Where will it go, Chief? Which station?
This is go to Station 1, 23-mile mound. It does hold, well, you know, what I think like 8 pieces. Our turnout gear is actually 4 pieces. You have your outer shell, you have the inner shell, which has a vapor barrier, a thermal barrier. You know, it protects us up to pretty much 1,800 degree temperatures in house fires, which is pretty standard. But once that material starts breaking down or the vapor barrier gets clogged, it causes a lot of side effects.
What's the life in a machine, like expectancy? Just curious.
Depending on use, and this is a limited use, so we should easily talk to some of the other departments. You're looking 7 to 10 years with proper maintenance. We did obviously verify the warranty to make sure we get the best warranty for it, because, you know, it may be just maybe once or twice a month that we have to use it, so we want a warranty that's going to last. So that's something else we looked at.
Plus, it's a lot less expensive over the long run than taking it to the dry cleaners, I suppose.
Yeah, every year that we send out all of our turnout gear to get cleaned, it comes back in the neighborhood of, pretty much probably close to $4,000.
Wow.
To send it out, and the bill runs, you'll see 3 bills for about $1,300 to $1,500 each, one for each shift coming back, and that's for the annual cleaning and maintenance. And the majority of it is the cleaning. The maintenance is minimal on our gear. And that's just the annual. That doesn't count all the times throughout the year that we have to send it to the laundromat and stuff to get them cleaned.
So if you do straight depreciation, you're talking about $2,000 a year, and we'll be saving at least $2,000 a year.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. But also, more importantly, it's what we have to do.
Yes.
I think you had a question, Mr. Vermeulen.
No, I don't. I would move to concur with the recommendation of Fire Chief Jim Siskowski and approve the purchase of one Unimax 65-pound industrial-grade washer for a total price not to exceed $12,689. Funds are available for this purchase in line item 427-340-985-000, capital improvement plan, and to amend the budget accordingly.
Support.
Motion made by Mr. Vermeulen, supported by Mr. Viviano.
2 questions. You guys going to install it yourselves?
Parks and Recreation they're going to mount it, bolted to the floor. That's part of the purchase package.
Right.
But Parks and Rec, they will come in and do the plumbing.
Good. And also, it stated that leases were available, but the purchase made more sense?
Yes, it did.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if you bolt it to the floor, I think insurance will be cheaper too, which is good. Anyone else? Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Don't go away. Next item, receive and file ISO Public Protection Classification Summary Report 2018. All yours.
Okay, if you guys can put the first slide up. First off, the ISO, this is a for-profit private company that they do survey all communities for their fire suppression delivery system. We don't have a choice in it. If we don't cooperate, they will make their best judgment and issue a classification. It's private. They sell that information to the underwriters for insurance companies. Not all insurance companies use it. Most of the major ones do. But that information is proprietary, and we don't know. So what they do, they take into account your water infrastructure, your 911 call-taking ability, and obviously the fire department resources, manpower, and equipment. Most of their criteria over the last couple of years, I believe the last change was in 2013, they just go off of the NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association, the national standards, that govern fire departments. And again, the ISO does, they don't only do us, they do, I think the building department's been done, the assessing department's been done, is what the ISO does. This does play an important role in underwriting. When your surveyor was here, I had a whole lot of questions on that. I couldn't get a whole lot of information to try and see how that works. But our old class, we were a class 5 for 75% of the township, with the northern sections, 1 and 2, that do not have a water main or fire hydrants. They were what they called the class 9. You have to be within 1,000 feet of a fire hydrant, and if you're not within that, you will get that class 9 rating, meaning you have a fire protection, you don't have water. Now our new class, after the survey, go back one slide. Can you back up? There you go. The new class, we dropped 2 classes improvement to a class 3, and we still have that split rating. They just call it a 3X now. Part of our survey began back in like October. The reason why ours took so long is because we haven't been done since 1994. When they came out in 2012, shortly after Chief Shepherd's passing, they were coming out, and I said, you know, this is what's going on. So they just skipped us for this last 5-year cycle. They had bypassed us and then came obviously in 2017. So we're still going to have that, but they had to convert all of our information into GIS. So what will happen is we will have that split rating, and as infrastructure water mains get added in the Northeast, they will automatically get that data, however they get it off of the GIS world, and they would adjust the rates to make it one classification accordingly throughout the township. But again, this is a 2-class improvement for areas that are within 1,000 feet of a hydrant. Next slide. And I'll go through a little bit. Our dispatch centers were 10 points, and they do look at staffing, emergency reporting, the number of 911 calls that are received, and they actually look at electrical services. What powers your dispatch center? Is there a backup? Do you know if there's a fault in the system? It's very complicated. The water department is worth 40% of the score, and they obviously look at our hydrant sizes, the locations, inspections, flow testing. Do we color code our hydrants and maintenance? And then the last 50 points is for the fire department. They look at engine and ladders, numbers needed versus what is available, locations of your stations and equipment, and the number of residents living within 1.5 road miles of a station versus the number outside of the 1.5 mile radius. And they also look at your staffing, your minimum level staffings, trainings, SOPs, equipment, you name it, they look at it. Now, this is a map that the ISO uses. You can see the 5 different color blocks if you exclude the 2 areas for the parks. That is 1.5 road miles from each of the 5 stations. And according to ISO, if we were trying to get a class 1, we would actually need 7 stations, one at the south and one at the north where you see the big white voids. So again, I am not an ISO fan because a lot of that stuff, things like this doesn't make sense to me. Well, you need 7 stations. Well, it's not going to happen. Next slide. And they also look at the number of ladder companies or ladder trucks you have and where they're stationed, and they govern a 2.5 mile radius. According to their standard to get a class 1, we would need 4. Again, it's not feasible. It's just not, it's not a smart thing to do. Next slide. The one thing they added in 2013 is a bonus point for community risk reduction. This is up to 5.5 points, and this goes into our fire prevention, our inspectors, the day-to-day jobs they do, the public education we give, and then how we get that message out, what types of media, how many people can we reach, and how often do we do it. We actually earned 5.27 out of 5.5 bonus points, which is very unheard of, because our inspectors, and since day one I took over, public education, we're in our factories working with response teams, we're training them with our simulators to try and cut down. You look at commercial fires and things that are going up in other departments, they haven't quite maintained it over the years. You can see our commercial industrial fires are way less than what they have. So how did we do? First off, our dispatch got 7.84 points out of 10, which is very good. And if I remember correctly, I think some of the departments that use the county, we were actually a hair higher than what the county got. Our DPW got 34 points out of a possible 40. In the fire department, again, we got 33 out of a possible 50. You add in our bonuses, and then they actually have a mathematical formula to lower your score. I can't even understand it. And that's how they come up with a rating. So 76.91 points, so we were just literally 3 points from a Class 2. And nationwide, this is what you see. The Class 1 departments, there's only 241 in the country. And you can see there's only 3,400 departments in the country that have our type of ratings, and that's, you know, their grading scale. Next slide. And again, I think I just covered this, what a split rating is. It's just, you know, if you live within 1,000 feet of a hydrant or not. You can skip it. Next slide. Now, one of the questions was, can it affect your insurance premiums?
Right.
Possibly. Can it not? Possibly. We don't know how that works. Talking to some of the other communities over the last several years, like Washington, for example, they dropped from a Class 5 to a Class 3, I believe, back in 2015, which I received a lot of phone calls on it. And the best guess they can figure, just by the firefighters that lived there, they were seeing anywhere from $15 to $50 reduction per year. So it's not a great cost. But we knew that back in 2013. When I took over as chief, I am not a fan of a book and somebody coming out and saying, this is what you got to buy and spend in order to be a better department. So we decided with the board, we were only going to spend money what was in the best interest of the community. Because to spend money to get a lower rating, you know, what's the point? We have to do what's right and what's practical for the community, and that's the job that we did. We fixed the things we could, but we weren't going to go out and buy 4 ladder trucks, build 7 stations, hire, you know, they actually are saying something like 29 or 30 firefighters on duty every day, and, you know, that's just not practical. We need to service our communities based on what's going on, and that's the interest that we looked, because we obviously want to be very good stewards of our taxpayers' money, and we will reinvest the money when needed, as long as it serves them properly and it's in their best interest. I think one of the questions was about Station 5. Station 5 may not do anything for anyone that lives on the west side of the township. But for those residents that live down at 21 and Shaner, you have paramedics, you have an engine, you have a first response resources stationed there, just like they have. And that's why we built that station, because 4 people in one station couldn't service the entire east side of the township. And our response times were getting a little difficult, and we knew it was something that was needed. So that's why the station was built, and a couple of firefighters were hired, and we added to our shift because of our run volumes and response times and what was needed for the community, and that's how we do things.
Very good. Thank you very much. Very good work, too, I might add. I do appreciate that. Yes.
I'd move to receive and file the chief's report.
Support?
Motion made by Mr. Flynn, supported by Mr. Viviano. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Grote.
I do have some questions. First of all, what is it costing us to be part of this shenanigan by this organization?
Oh, there is no cost for us. They strictly sell their information to like State Farm and Allstate and insurance companies like that. A lot of your bigger businesses like Grupo Antolin and some of those bigger ones, they will actually have their own ISO rating with that building and not necessarily from the community. The ISO will give special insurance rates to the buildings. And so that, it's very complicated how it works. The best I can understand is from a Class 9 to a Class 5, the residents get a very big break in their insurance. Once you start dropping below a Class 5, the breaks or the improvements in insurance isn't so much for the residents. The opposite is true from what I understand for commercial industrial. They don't get a whole, their breaks are less until they get below a Class 5, and then those insurance underwriters will start giving some better improvements. But again, it was like pulling teeth to try and get any information out of them, and, because they're very protective of that information.
All right, and, Mrs. Swankowski, you know, how do they derive their authority to be who they are? Is this, federal government?
No,
approved, or-
there's strictly private. Like, if you owned an insurance company and your underwriters can, write premiums for Shelby Township, Macomb, Sterling, wherever. Some insurance companies want to see, because when you look at the ISO, it is a report card on the community of what they offer for public service. Because they are, like I said, the water department, we're looking at hydraulic flows. They look at not only, yes, you got a hydrant, but can you sustain a 3,500 gallon flow out of that hydrant for 2 hours? That is the type of hydraulic modeling stuff we had to do with the water department. And your dispatch, how long does it take from the time of the call until they get resources on the road? Because obviously with fires and lives at stake every few seconds, that is part of the grading scale. And are we carrying the right equipment and have the right manpower to service your needs when there's 2 or 3 structure fires going on? So some communities, underwriters do use them. Some insurance companies, underwriters may or may not use them. But it's strictly if the insurance company wants to buy that information from the ISO, then they do. But, we've all had that question when you go to change insurance companies, where's the fire hydrant located and where's the closest fire station? You'll get that question because maybe those companies don't use it. They just want to make sure you're within 1,000 feet of a hydrant in a couple miles of a fire station.
Do they have any competition, or this is it? You take it or leave it?
This is it. And, the insurance companies take it or leave it. I mean, they did, like the NFPA, the standards that they go by, because I think back years ago, they had their set of rules. ISO or the NFPA had their set of rules. Well, the NFPA standard for fire departments is that became the standard around the world. And so the ISO just started mirroring that because, back in 2012, before they made this difference, they were saying you need 5-inch large diameter hose and not 4-inch. Well, we carry 4-inch. They were saying, well, ISO said 5-inch, you'll get more water out of it. Well, yeah, but not that much more to make a difference. We're not going to buy 8,000 feet of placer hose because the ISO says, well, guess what? They adopt an FPA standard, which we already met.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, did they take into account the 25-mile and Shaner station?
No.
Not at all?
Nope, they didn't because there's not a whole lot of population up there. And it was in our best interest to, not even, there was nothing going on. So eventually, once that station is built, they will get the information incorporated, but it shouldn't change anything.
All right. So where do we go from here? Are we going to stick with the 3.3, the PPC, and as it is, or are we going to try and do things differently?
Oh, I was already on the phone with them because we're very close to a Class 2, and it comes down to, we never had a proper flow testing program here. A lot of departments in townships and cities actually pay a company to flow test their hydrants. Well, we had the equipment, we just had to get it calibrated and learn how to use it, so we do have it, but we don't have 5 years of records to show them that we are pressure testing our hydrants, and that's how much water can you flow out of this hydrant, and then you have to turn the other one on next to it all the way open and measure the volume coming out, and then that goes into the hydraulic modeling. So we're already looking at that because, like I said, we're 3 points away from a Class 2. And we're right there, so I've already had a few conversations with them because I didn't agree with everything that was in there. So this new rate goes in effect June 1st, but as the infrastructure changes and we get more water mains and hydrants, those people in the Northeast, when there's houses built and those that are there and when water gets brought in, I was told their rates will change automatically. But obviously, we will update the ISO once that information is there. And I think we have up to a year to contest it, and hopefully within a year, without having to spend any money, we can make a few changes and might find those 3 points. That's my goal.
Good job, Chief.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay, so if someone wants to know how safe Shelby Township is, there's really only one measure available, ISO. Now, they can talk about fire hydrants and what have you in terms of insurance, but this is really the only general measure. I mean, no one's going to call the fire department and DPW, I'm talking about an insurance carrier, to find out exactly, you know, what you have and what you don't have, because that would take hours to do. They're just going to go to the ISO and get a quick reading how safe that part of the community is, correct? If they want to use, if they want to know.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, it is a grading scale. It is a community grade for your fire protection service, and that's pretty much what it's come to be.
And it's very standard across the country.
Yes.
Okay.
There's only one set of standards that they go by.
Okay, good enough. Anyone else? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Good work, and thank you
Thank you.
very much. And finally, item number 10, and by the way, Boy Scouts Troop 1973, I just want to say thank you for your patience, and I like the way you just sit there and listen, and we do appreciate that. Yep, good job. Planning Commission reappointments, if someone would like to make I'm going to call them reappointments. We have 4 people that we would be reappointing should this pass. Would someone like to make the motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. John Vermeulen.
I make a motion to reappoint Raquel Moore to serve as a member of the Planning Commission for a 3-year term with an expiration date of August 16th, 2019, and to reappoint Carl Dallow, Lisa Casali, Philip Turner to serve as members of the Planning Commission for 3-year terms with an expiration date of August 16, 2020.
Support.
Motion made by Mr. Vermeulen, supported by Mr. Wozniak. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And Mr. Wozniak, we also appreciate your time that you put in a planning commission as well as all members of the planning commission, in fact, as well as all volunteers here in Shelby Township. Without these people and all the committees we have, we would not be the township that we are. So I want to thank everybody, but for tonight, especially these 4 people. Thank you very much. Now we'll go to township announcements, and we'll start with you, Mr. Viviano.
I don't have any tonight, sir.
I know you've been very busy with the roads, and we do appreciate that as you continue that effort. And that dance team, way to go, yes.
Congratulations to them again.
Yeah.
We're really proud, and I just want to say, too, that now they are on their way to the International Cheer Union World Championships in Orlando in April. So we wish them the best of luck.
Okay, great job. Hey, Mr. Flynn, I know we had that active shooter training, and
Yeah.
you kind of coordinated that. Good job.
Help HR, and I wanted to give a special shout out to the Shelby Township Police Department. I know there's been a lot of headlines lately on this subject of active killers, active shooters, but we've actually had this planned for several months. It just happened to be last Friday, and I want to say that the officers did an excellent job helping us improve the safety of both the people that work here and the people that visit here. And one of our trainers is actually here in the audience tonight, Officer Fox. I think he was appreciative that he didn't get beat up too bad by Trustee Vermeulen when we practiced the swarming technique. So thanks again, everyone in the police department. It was an excellent exercise, and we plan on implementing a lot of what they taught us. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, and I should have done this before, but as you can see, Rob Huth could not be here tonight, so we have Rosemary Davis with us, and she's no stranger to Shelby Township, and I want to thank you for being here. Okay, great. Mr. Grote.
I have nothing to report.
Okay, Mr. Vermeulen?
Yes, I'd like to announce the fact that the Friends of the NRA, the Oakland Macomb chapter, Friends of the NRA, are having their annual fundraiser on April 17th, 2018 at 5:30 p.m. at Palazzo Grand. Tickets are available through Mike Costa at 810-523-5014. That's it.
And Mr. Wozniak?
That's it? All right. I left my announcements on my desk, so my apologies to
Special
Katie.
treat for the residents tonight, then.
Yeah. Amy, and I would reiterate what Mr. Flynn said about the attacking drill. That was quite interesting, eye-opening, places where you think you're safe, you're not really safe, and the protocols that the police have in place are really important. Just anecdotally, though, I was out in the parking lot with my hands up, and there was a couple trying to get in the building. Of course, the building was closed. And I said, it's only a drill. It's only a drill, because everybody was out in the parking lot with their hands up. So So they didn't
That
know
happened
whether
a
it was
couple
real
of-
or not.
That happened a couple of times. The wedding party
Oh, yeah.
across the hall, they were getting married and saw the police cars and saw us running out and ran over, doing the same thing. I would invite the folks at home. Channel 4 was actually here all day covering the event, and they're planning on doing a feature story in a couple of weeks. So keep an eye on WDIV. You might pick up something that applies to your kids or your own workplace.
Yeah, but again, to the police department, thank you. It was really eye-opening.
Yes, it was. Very helpful. Thank you. Okay, I've just got a couple here, and both subjects are on UCS. Ford awarded $10,000 to the tech-savvy UCS students to fund renewable energy. Ford Motor Company is named the Utica for Science and Industry, Michigan's only winner in a grant program that honors student-created projects that address a community issue. The company, noting that UCS blazed the trail, as they said, in a state through its Ford Next Generation Academy partnership that provided a $10,000 grant to students to create a renewable energy through exercise equipment in local gyms. I'll tell you, it's not my piece of equipment because it doesn't go that fast. I don't think there would be any energy generated. But anyway, the grant honored the program's Project Powerhouse, earning second top honor through the nationwide Ford STEAM High School Community Challenge. And I quote, Dr. John said that this national recognition reflects the leadership of our students to create the innovation that will guide their future. And she went on to say that we look forward to seeing the impact of not only this creative energy initiative, but also the difference they will make as leaders in business and industry. And some more good news out of UCS. A national organization promoting innovation in technology has awarded 3 top awards to Utica Community Schools 3D virtual reality films that were created to address an important issue. It's called The Tour, T-O-U-R, The Tour, a Utica Center for Science Industry film about the importance of creativity, was named the overall winner of they call it the Make Waves Award for inspiring action for positive change in a 360 Filmmakers Challenge. And the film has also earned Hack 360 honorable mention as an ingenious solution to achieve a special effort in the competition sponsored by the Digital Promise, a nonprofit organization working to spur innovation in education. And Dr. Christine John said that the 360 Filmmakers Challenge reflects a high level of student skills for innovation, problem solving, and communication in Utica community schools. And she went on to say that our students are deeply they care deeply about issues that impact their world and are effectively using technology to encourage change. A lot going on at UCS. Congratulations to all the students. We're very proud of you, and I hope we get more good reports, and I'm sure we will. Okay, it's now time for business from the floor. We conduct township business here consistent with the way a business meeting is handled. Here, each speaker will be allowed up to 3 minutes to discuss business that is relevant to the operation of our terrific township. But before I actually call everybody up, I'm just kind of thinking of this. We got a microphone here. Hold on. Can I have that? Thanks. Okay. So we've got these young Boy Scouts here. I want to hear from you. What'd you think of the meeting? Was it interesting, boring? I mean, what'd you think? Who wants to talk first? What'd you think? Just tell it like it is, because we're used to hearing how it is, right, everybody? Yep. Go ahead.
Well, I thought it was interesting because you guys were discussing about all the events in Shelby Township.
Good. Thank you very much. Now, you don't have to be that kind. Just tell me a little, what would you guys think? And thank you, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't understand one bit.
That a lot, don't we, gang? Yeah, we sure do. We hear that a lot. Okay, anybody else? Anybody else? Yeah.
He was right.
I think it was quite interesting about the part with the virtual reality, and I liked the part about the fire department with the ISO and trying to get the cleaning machine.
Well, good. That was pretty enlightening, and, that's important. I know all of you are the future leaders here of our country, and I'm glad when you come to these meetings and you're engaged and you listen and hopefully learn something. So that's great. Anybody else? Yeah.
That make my neck tired when I kept on looking over and over and like this.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Anybody else? Yeah.
I thought it was cool how you guys got through all this business really fluently and successfully.
Well, thank you. I'm going to leave it at that note right there.
Oh, yeah.
We like you. We like all of you. You're invited to all of our meetings. And by the way, to you leaders, thank you very much for bringing the scouts. I think it's great when parents spend the time that you do. And I know there's a lot of work that goes into it. And I want all of you to know we welcome you back, okay? Anytime you want to come back, you can start our meeting, lead us in a pledge anytime, okay? And I hope you come back soon. Thank you. Okay. Would anyone like to come up? Okay, no one? Oh, Mr. Churchill, yeah, come on up. We like it when you're here, Rosemary, because things go smoother. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. They're always smooth.
Ron Churchill, Mound Road. You know, I have been talking about this 3-minute deal that 4 of you board members on the last board voted for. 3 minutes limit, whether there's one agenda item or 22 agenda items like there were one time. I have talked to about 3 or 4 lawyers, okay, including our representative for this area, Pete Lucido. And every one of them has said 3 minutes is nowhere near a reasonable time, especially if you want to talk about 10 or 11 or 12 agenda items. This 3-minute thing is absolutely asinine, and you people know it. I want to ask the lawyer up there from Kirk and Huth. Mr. Huth isn't here. I want to ask you, I'd like to know if you can be honest, really honest. What is your honest opinion of 3 minutes for these agenda items, whether there's 1 or 22 agenda items? Can you honestly say that that is fair and reasonable? And I'd like to ask the 4 of you that voted for this. I'd like to know from each one of you, Mr. Supervisor, Mr. Flynn, Mr. Grote, Mr. Wozniak, did you vote for that? Did you vote yes on that just because your colleagues did? I'd like to know.
You have 30 seconds.
I'd like to know an answer. You can answer right now, yes or no.
We'll wait till you sit down.
My 3 minutes, I have the right to have my answer when I'm standing here. Just simply yes or no from all 4 of you.
Time's up. Thanks for coming, and we will answer your question. Do appreciate it. Yeah, I know you bring this up, I think, just about every couple of weeks, and I do want to say again that the reason we voted for this, many reasons actually, but one reason was because we thought it was reasonable and prudent to have 3 minutes to say pretty much what's on your mind. And I think just about all the townships and cities in the area have that same 3-minute rule. So that's one reason. Another reason is because if you want to talk more in depth about any subject, you can come to us before the meeting, and we will answer your questions. And even though you come to us before the meeting, you can still come up here and ask the question, and we can share the answer with everyone. But by giving us the time to prepare, we're better, more apt to give you the answers that you want. So that's the other thing. And yes, it does make our meetings flow a bit better, too. It doesn't get into a give and take. You know, this is not, coming up here is not because you want to debate someone. Coming up here and asking a question is because you want an answer. So you can call any one of us anytime you want, and we will answer your questions to the best of our ability. And if we can't answer them when you call us, we will get back to you. So this is not the only forum, no, to get information. If you want information before or after the meeting, we can do that. I think I said it all. Unless I left anything out, board members, feel free to add to that. Okay. Who wants to go next? Yes.
I'll try this out. I just had a quick question. I know you guys already passed the motion on the high definition. I don't remember what it was. The whole box and everything and the filming.
Yeah.
My question is, they're already coming out with 8K video. 56% of all households now have 4K TVs. Are we future-proofing ourselves, you know, in 4K? You know, at least being at that, or are we spending this $45,000 approximately? When he said high def, he laughed when I said 4K, when he turned around to me. Is it being well spent? Maybe just take a second to think, if we spend another $15,000, are we going to get something that's going to last us 10 years down the road, rather than short-sight it right now with just high def
I
at
can answer that
1080,
one, Mr.
1080p?
Chairman. I can answer that, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Flynn.
The problem is, the answer was, this is the best fit for us, and the reason is, you can't get non-HD cameras anymore, or we would have got them, because Comcast doesn't provide us with the bandwidth to transmit in HD anyway. So we may be able to record in HD, but you're not going to see it in HD on Channel 5 back home. We're working on getting there, but I'm sure since 4K and 8K require even more bandwidth, it's going to be decades before they're going to give it up for free to folks like us. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay. Yes, in the back.
Gary Galassa, Shelby Township. I'd like to ask Mr. Viviano a question through the chair about the road conditions on 23 Mile between Mound and Ryan. And Ryan looks like it's been strafed. The truck traffic, they're building the new aircraft carrier there on 23 and Mound. There's going to be a significant amount of truck traffic. Is there going to be some way to patrol that to make sure they go certain directions? As I said at the last meeting, I lived here when Ford still had their facility. Trucks came up and down Ryan, trucks came up and down 23 Mile. But Ryan is excessively used now by truck traffic, and it's collapsing on the sides because those vehicles are so large. I haven't heard nothing about that. And is there any way for the township to create some sort of a tax-free or tax-abated zone on somewhere between Auburn and 23 and DeQuinder? Those people, again, they have no supermarket to shop at. We've done all this tons of things on the north side because that's easy to develop, but you left the people on the south side of the township or the southwest side of the township not even with a grocery store to go to. And, you know, if you can do that on Shelby Parkway and build all that technology, you can do something to allow some kind of businesses to settle in that Auburn, that DeQuinder and Auburn area. So do you have any knowledge about what's going on Ryan?
You're talking about the improvements on 23 by Amazon?
I'm talking about Ryan in particular, because nothing has been said about Ryan, and Ryan will be a main artery thoroughfare from 23 back to Mound, back to the freeways.
Yeah, and Mr. Viviano, I'll let you answer that question in just a moment, but let me just say this. We do have a list of roads that need to be fixed. That's not the only road. We have a list of other roads as well. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we have our requests into the county, and I know the county is waiting on funding from the state of Michigan. And until that funding comes in, all we can do is request. And that's what we're doing, and that's what the county is doing. Is that correct?
Right, and Ryan's a local. You could put that forth at some point.
With a 50-50 share,
Right.
but you need your money from the state before you can offer that.
Yes.
We have more than $1 million in their account. In fact, I think we've got a few million, and we can put more in there. So money is not the problem here in Shelby Township. Because, and let me explain why. It's because we've been saving this money since 2008, and we've been spending it since 2008. And many, Mr. Flynn and I and Mr. Wozniak took a lot of heat for that when we had the Great Recession in 2009, 2010, and 2011. People were wondering, why are you spending so much money on roads when we need infrastructure? And we said because our roads are number one, it's a top priority. And, you know, as elected officials, we cannot do X, Y, and Z. And we made the hard decision, and we said we're going to do X. And that meant that Y and Z were put on a back burner. So people who wanted a new library, people who wanted a new court, and what have you, were not happy. And now that we've done that, I mean, we between the government, the federal government, the county, and Shelby Township, we have $63 million that we have put into roads since 2008. And I know a lot of other townships, a lot of other cities are saying, well, you know, where's that money coming from? Well, the reason it's coming out of our savings, because we put that money away and we saved it for that purpose. And now we're doing Y and Z. And we still have money in our account. We're just looking for a partner. Our partner, as Mr. Viviano said, is a county. It's 50-50 on local roads, but it's 10-10 and 80 on federal roads. Now, everybody wants a federally mandated road, but they don't just say, oh, you want that to be federally mandated? We'll go ahead and federally mandate it. It's not the way it works. There's criteria involved, and I know that 22-mile road, 21-mile, for example, I think is federally mandated. I believe we were successful in getting that done. That was supposed to be done 2 years ago. We sent the money. County already has it. But they didn't do it 2 years ago because of Hall Road. Right. And now they're not going to do it this year because they're going to finish Phase 2 of Hall Road, and they don't want that extra traffic on 21-mile road because it's just going to depreciate it in an accelerated fashion, which we don't want to do. So next year, 21-mile will be done. But we want other roads done too. We're just looking for a partner. And a partner's got to come up with either 50% or 80%. And I can't blame the county because the county is requesting money from the state of Michigan. And, you know, we're only as good as that money that comes in from the state. And the reason we had so much opportunity between 2008 and 2014 or 15, Mr. Flynn, Mr. Wozniak, help me out, is because we had the money. And when a township called and said, we don't have the match, they knew they could call us. The county could call, and they did. And they said, now, so-and-so didn't have the money. Would you like to take that match? Heck, yes, we'll take it. And we were able to get some roads done. So, and Van Dyke is a great example of that. So, anyway, we are going to continue to hope and pray that that money from the state of Michigan comes through. I think there's a $3 billion surplus in Lansing, and they call that a rainy day fund. I think it's raining all over Macomb Township, and we need some of that money so we can fix the roads. We have our plans. We have our plans in place. We just need that money. Mr. Viviano, you want to add anything to that?
Well, you're going to have that study done within about 2 weeks.
Yeah, there's a study
Comprehensive study of
from,
all the roads. You'll see how Ryan stacks up compared to some of the other spots, but.
we've already made requests to the county for Ryan and about 5 other roads. But what we want, to Mr. Viviano's point, and the board of trustees said, look, we've got 70 miles of roads here in Shelby Township, not subdivisions, but main roads. Now, if you're going to manage, you got to be able to measure. And so we are going to manage this to the nth degree, and in 2 weeks, because the board of trustees all came together and said, we want a study that shows the worst road and the best road in Shelby Township, from one all the way to the bottom. Well, the bottom's going to be on top. And I'm not saying we have to have that right now for the county, because the county understands what our needs are, but we're going to have that list so that we can understand what the needs are and put even more money away so that we're not just patching up potholes, correct?
Right, we're doing a comprehensive study of the whole county.
That's right. And you're doing the same thing for the county?
Whole county.
Yeah, okay. Ours is going to be to the nth degree, and that's it. I hope we answered that question. Anything else to add to that? Okay, good.
There was one more thing. The township is not involved in the private sector, so locations of grocery stores and things like that, we have zero influence on.
Right.
So that's all I got.
Thank you. And also, even if we wanted to give it a tax abatement on a grocery store, we cannot do that. Pardon?
It's for industrial properties.
It's
Yeah, for industrial only.
Yeah.
So if we're going to give tax abatements, by law, we can only do that for industrial property. We cannot do it for supermarkets or any other businesses. Oh, my word, just think if we could. It'd be a mess. Everybody would want an abatement, and it would be hard to manage. So, okay. Mr. Viviano, anything more to add? I think we hit it. Okay, good. Anyone else tonight? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Stathakis, members of the board, Janet Moore, Shelby Township. About this 3-minute deal, I know how difficult it is to fit questions or suggestions into 3 minutes. But if that is all we have, don't let's waste them talking about the 3 minutes plus the 2 minutes that got away. Look how many minutes have already been wasted. I'm afraid if we got our 2 minutes back, we would then spend the next 9 months talking about how long it took us. We don't want to look back on wasted minutes thinking what I should have said, what I could have said, or what I would have said. I missed many opportunities at earlier meetings, but perhaps in the future I will be able to weave them into 3 minutes. I know some places do have 5 minutes, Royal Oak, for instance, but we don't. Perhaps in the future that will change. Most of us are passionate about something. I don't think it has to be on the agenda. In fact, I feel anything on the agenda has been cooking for months, and it's too late for anything we have to say to have any effect on the situation. Besides, it's never written in layman's English. Although we can't see into the future, I think we still have vision and feel strongly about things close to our hearts. I feel the lack of vision was shown in the 70s with the removal of railway tracks. It never made sense to me. Now the railway tracks are in better shape than our roads, and had we kept them, it might have eased our roads and freeway situations today. So let's be smart, cherish the 3 minutes. You can do a lot of good or damage in 3 minutes, depending on the flavor of the week. I was always taught half a loaf is better than no bread. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I just want to say, it's never too late to bring up an idea. If you have an idea and you want to talk to us about it, you can do it before the meeting and take all the time you want. You can call any one of us. You can come and visit any one of us, and you can do it before the meeting. You can even do it after the meeting if you want to. But if you want to have an impact on the meeting, or if you don't understand something on the agenda, all you need to do is call any one of us. We'll explain to you. We'll even fax or email. I think we can do that, but I know there's a Freedom of Information Act that you have to use that procedure. But we're here for all of you. So this 3 minutes is not designed to just go in depth. That's why we have work sessions. You know, this is top level, no question about it. But we will go in to as much detail as you want before the meeting. And lastly, I want to say that the 3-minute idea is not our idea. It's really practiced in a vast majority of cities and townships around us. And in fact, there was a newspaper article written, I think, a couple months ago about that, and I didn't see too many. I think I saw maybe a few at 4 or 5 minutes, but the vast majority is 3 minutes. And it's been proven, too, that you can pretty much say what you want to get across in 3 minutes, and if it takes more, well, you know, I guess there's always a next week. Please, if you have a question, come to us. We'll be more than happy to answer questions before the meeting. Yes? And I want to say one more thing, and we'll be happier even to share the information at the meeting when you come up.
Leo Levy from Shelby Township. There's 2 things I want to say. It got nothing to do with the board meeting or anything. Boy, I went to California for 2 weeks to be with the 91-degree temperatures. I got off the plane, it was 38.
Wow.
It stayed about 38, 40, and I left Saturday, and it was 50. So that was a bad trip. Anyway, talking about that 3 minutes. Now, if you, I agree with this lady here says, they'll come up here and waste time talking about that 3 minutes. Then right away, 2 minutes are gone, 3 minutes are gone. Then they got 2 minutes to say what they have to say. And when they had that 5 minutes, even on the agendas, if somebody goes up and asks you about a certain part of her agenda, 3 or 4 people come up and ask the same thing, and they're going to get the same answer. So if they come up there, I know what I'm going to say when I come up here, and generally I'm done in 3 minutes or less. But you got to turn around and know what you're going to say. If somebody answers your question, bring up another one. You get a lot more questions answered. And I believe what that lady says, in 3 minutes, you say what you have to say that means something, and don't keep repeating and repeating and repeating. And I think that's much better if they do that. And I wasn't here when they was talking about Clarence Cook, and I'm very sorry that he passed away. And he'll be missed, but we'll have to get more people to come in and maybe take his place. So that's all I have to say. You guys are doing a good job. And, of course, we all could improve ourselves. No matter what we do, we could improve. So I went, when I was in California, I went to the Rotary Club, like I did belong to this one. And I'm an honorary member there. So the guy didn't show up that gives the fines out. So, hey, Leo's here now. He could do it. So then I made a speech there, too, last Thursday. We was talking about volunteering. It's so important to volunteer. It's very rewarding because when you do a lot of various stuff like I do at the nursing home, at the nursing home, it don't take long to help people, and it's really rewarding. Thank you.
Good, good. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that, and I would agree with you about Clarence Cook and also about the volunteering. Okay, so everybody got everything done within their 3 minutes. That was good. Yes, sir.
Timekeeper? Thomas Turner, Shelby Township. Last board meeting here, I asked you about the fire department retired firemen, and I said they weren't in the bill runs for January. When I got home, I looked over some other past bill runs, and I find that the police department in July of last year, was not in the bill runs either. And I asked you, where are you paying this money out to the retired firefighters? Out of what account? Since they don't seem to be appearing in the bill runs. And you didn't answer that question. And I find out that the police department is the same way. We pay out $75,750 for nothing just because they were police and retired firefighters. That kind of money can go somewhere else in the township, like paving the lot over there on the nature walk on Ryan Road. You could pave that lot for that kind of money. Never mind, it's not for the township people that you really want to serve, because that lot is nothing but a mud hole when it rains. In the bill runs that were approved tonight, I find that in the Protective Inspection Department, which is the building department, they have a car wash bill that we paid of $530. That's kind of a bit much for washing cars out of one little department. Now, I don't know how many cars are in the protective inspections or building department, but $530 is beyond reason. I'd like somebody here to explain why that these cars can get that dirty that they need washing to the tune of $530. So if you could tell me what account you're paying these police and these retired firefighters out of, I would like to keep track of it, because I'm going to look into some more bill runs and see how far back that these retirement benefits have not been paid in the bill runs. The reason I think they're not in the bill runs is because the general people online,
30 seconds.
the general public online looking at these bill runs will not see how much money is being spent for nothing, just because they worked here and retired here.
Okay, well, thank you for coming in, and just a couple things I want to say, and Mike, if you want to add to that, that would be great. First of all, every number, every dollar, every cent we spend we're very transparent. It's available. So there's nothing we hide. It's public money. So if you really want the answer, all you need to do is put in a Freedom of Information Act, and you will get any number you want. You want to answer the question?
Yeah,
about-
that's absolutely right. And the citizen knows the answer to his own questions, but he's just trying to mislead the public, and this is a usual theme with him. All the payouts to the firemen and the retired policemen are contractual. We don't have any leeway on saying we're not going to pay you this month because we don't want to. So it's all contractual payments. They come out of the pension fund. They don't come out of the general fund. So maybe if he's having a hard time finding them, he could take your advice and contact the finance department, and they'd be happy to share those numbers.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for the account numbers, we can get the account numbers for you. So when you do your FOIA, or your Freedom of Information Act, you can go ahead and specifically say, okay, here are the account numbers I want. We can do that for you, but you're going to have to come in and do a Freedom of Information Act, and you will have all the numbers you want, anything you want with that request. So I don't know if it's the numbers you're looking for. If that's all you're looking for, that's not a problem. We can do that, but you have to call us. And as far as $530, I can't tell you how many cars. I don't know if it's for a month or 2 months or 3 months. We literally have thousands of transactions, and I can't sit here. I don't have a computer here. You have to tell me like maybe a half hour before the meeting so I can look it up, or an hour before the meeting would even be better. 2 hours would even be better. Or just call me and tell me. And then what you can do is you can come up here, ask your question, then I can answer it for everybody. But I will get an answer for you on that $530.
Yeah, I think, I know for a fact that our contract is with Genesis Car Wash, which is right here on 24.5 in Van Dyke. It's $5 a throw for the general public, so I'm guessing that we got a better deal than that, and that represents a contractual, an annual deal for the fleet. But yeah, you could probably get the rest of the detail, but that's what that is.
So we might be talking about 105, 110 washes maybe? I don't know. And how many cars? And we do have quite a few cars in the building department, but I know they don't wash them every week or anything like that. But I'll get that information for you over the length of time and the number of cars. But again, people, if you can help us out, give us these questions before the meeting so we can get back to you and answer them and help everybody. So everybody can understand that we're not washing cars every day, or that we're spending $530 on one car for a wash.
No, and I can attest, because I use fleet vehicles on occasion for township business, and they will only wash them when they absolutely have to. And I know for a fact that the assessors and the building guys, they'll take those cars off-road. That's why we're buying four-wheelers now, and they can get pretty nasty.
Okay. Anybody else tonight? Okay. Well, all the business having been conducted here tonight, I would wonder if someone would make a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Flynn, supported by Mr. Wozniak. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much for coming, and Boy Scouts, thank you very much for coming, especially for sitting through this very long meeting. We appreciate it. Thanks.